What do you got there, Nate?
Twin fawns.
What's the plan now?
You and Sydney are going to go over there and collar them. And Alexis.
Don't lose them.
I know. Seriously. Before you leave, will you get my phone scope and my phone out of my truck?
Alright, so Nate just spotted a doe with 2 fawns. He's staying behind the glass, and we're going to try to get up here and find him so we can collar him and take some measurements.
So we're just by, like, I think the main lift. We still have to go north, right?
You're up at the very top.
Like a pretty good ways.
Alright, so we're waiting for Nate to pick us up so he can guide us into these 2 twin fawns. It looks like we might be a little south, a chute to the south, so we need to go to the north here. And he said that the doe with the 2 fawns is still out, so we're gonna go find him. We're gonna collar him, and we're gonna gain that information that we need to. It's a pretty dang cool study that's going on here, so I'll have Sydney and Nate explain more about it. We got an elusive mama. Cute lion socks, by the way.
We're not seeing tracks yet. We're in snow though. Hard left. We found one. We found one.
Okay, so we just caught up to one of the fawns. Sydney just spotted it. There's twins, so we're looking for the second one right now. But we're gonna get to work, and Sydney's gonna do her thing.
It's up there. Get it.
Okay, my job's just to make sure that this little guy doesn't go anywhere. How cute is he? So cool.
Alexis, come grab the plastic bag. $4 kilos. So we take a hind foot measurement. So you take it from the tip of the hoof, doing it in centimeters, to the elbow, 27 centimeters. Then we're gonna take a new hoof growth measurement. This is where you measure from the very edge of the hair to like a little line there is on the hoof. Sometimes it's hard to capture, especially if they're a little bit older. Oh, there it is. 4. Then we have to take a chest girth measurement. So you're going right behind the front legs, all the way around the chest. You let him breathe a little bit so you can kind of 32.5. Okay, now hold her up for him. We check the sex. Female. Put this one. Let's just keep their eyes covered. Usually they. So we're just gonna take a little hair sample. You're trying to get the hair follicles because we can get DNA off it. So I just. It was 32 centimeters. 32.5. Alexis, can you get in the side pocket of my bag and get the receiver out so we can make sure this works?
So what exactly is the collar for, Sydney?
So the collar allows us to keep track of the fawn. It's got what's called a very high frequency, a beeping noise that we can pick up. So can you hear this? That's how we keep track of this.
Okay.
So we use antennas. It's kind of like how people do with their hound dogs. Pick her head up. Just support that neck while I slide this on. The collar is expandable. So as they grow and as the collar kind of weathers, these folds will unsew and stretch out.
Okay.
So eventually, if we're not able to recollar them, then the collar will fall off before they get too big to get like choked out.
So cool.
Okay, ready?
Cutest little buggers.
4-1 point. I think it'll just go find some food. Alright, need your help on this. My guess is it'll run a little ways and drop into the trees.
Mama was a proud mother of 2 girls. Cool, Sydney's just doing her thing, taking all her measurements she needs to. Sydney, what kind of data are you looking for from this?
So, I mean, primarily these collars help us with survival data, but also we'll see some of where they move, and we also are trying to figure out what maternal metrics influence survival and birth weight and growth of these fawns. On a lot of the fawns we capture, not these specific ones, but we have some maternal data, like body condition. We have collars on the moms, so we know like where they go. So we can look at habitat selection and then compare that to how well these fawns survive, grow, and what their birth weight is. By growth, I mean we're gonna recapture a portion of these in December and put GPS collars on them so we can monitor them long term.
And just like that, the hardest part was actually spotting them through the spotter this morning. We glassed for quite a while without any luck, but Eagle Eyes Nate found a pretty dang cool experience. They're cute little buggers. Sydney, just out of curiosity, where do the funds come from that fund these projects?
So we get funds actually from quite a few different partners. Sportsmen for Fish and Wildlife, the Mule Deer Foundation, Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation, Safari Club International, Utah DWR Wildlife Resources, and also Brigham Young University. And I could have missed some, but those are our major sponsors, and we're really grateful for their partnership because otherwise we wouldn't. I mean, these collars, the funds to like drive our trucks, have nice spotting scopes, places for us to stay. It's all really appreciated so we can get this cool data on mule deer.
Would you agree that some of those like sportsmen like ourselves, like our money goes towards these?
Definitely, yeah. The funds that are raised like at your banquets and just from personal donations are what fuel these projects so we can study mule deer here on the cache.
Cool.
Great spot made by you, my friend.
People say hunters don't love wildlife. People say hunters don't have hearts. Not true. We do. We love our wildlife and we'll do anything to protect them. Projects like these are what go towards protecting wildlife for the future. So, and you know, we're the ones funding it. So it's pretty dang cool. So how old do you think these fawns were today?
You know, I think that we were maybe pushing 3 days, 2 to 3 days. The second fawn, the first fawn was just laying kind of in a game trail, just completely still, which is their initial defense mechanism when they're young. They can slow down their heart rate, they can slow down their breathing, and they just try and hide from you essentially. But I think we had kind of caught these ones unaware hiking in, like we didn't make too much noise, because she was just dropped in the middle of a trail versus like under some choke cherry or under a pine.
Yeah, because it's kind of in the open a little bit.
She was, yeah, way more than I expected. And her twin was running already. We had to chase her down on foot, and she eventually dove for cover. That's how I caught her, but I wonder if, you know, she could have outrun me potentially if her first instinct wasn't to just kind of hit the dirt.
So really, we hit a little bit of luck to even.
Oh, on these ones we definitely did. I mean,
because they were almost old enough they could have took off with their mom.
correct, yeah. So some of the fawns that will glass up even here in the next few days that are only 1 day old, you'll see them literally stand up to eat, then just lay back down. They're not doing more than that. They're capable of walking, but their main defense, like I said, is just to hide. Day 1, day 2, they're mobile, but not running around. By the time you get to day 3, there are moments where you might not catch them. So yeah, I would say, I mean, between Nate's quick spot on these, like right when we were kind of winding down, and then the fact that we got in on them when they were so mobile, I would say we had a little bit of luck on our side, but that's how it goes with deer, right?
Yeah. When they
be lucky and good.
Yeah, when those fawns decided to go, they went.
Yeah. And it's interesting though, I mean, not trying to put human characteristics on fawns or on deer, but the one fawn was super like after it, super mobile, and the other one wasn't. I mean, she just laid there the whole time. We set her down, we hit her, tucked her up under that tree, just laid there, didn't get up after we walked away. So, you have, and who knows, maybe the other one was born first.
Took a little bit for the other one to get out.
Sure, hard to know that kind of thing, but yeah, this was awesome for sure.
That's cool. Yeah, Nate had some eagle eyes there.
No kidding.
Quick spot.
No kidding.
We were just about to pack up and leave, huh?
We'd seen like how many does? Like 7?
7 does, and most of them were acting fairly normal. The one we thought that was acting funny, she got up and took off into the trees, so we couldn't spot her anymore. But
yep.
Gosh, that's cool.
So it gives you a little bit of an idea. I mean, I think some sportsmen, when I tell them we're gonna catch these fawns opportunistically by glassing, they're like, you're crazy. I've had guys tell me that before, but it's possible, but I promise you, it takes just that little bit of luck to either be watching the doe for long enough or to catch her right at the right time where those fawns come up to take a drink or to say hi to mom or whatever.
And these were considered opportunistic fawns, meaning
that, so we catch fawns one of 2 ways. One of the ways we catch them is we have some does on the landscape that we put GPS collars on, and we inserted a device called a vaginal implant transmitter, which communicates with the GPS collar. So when it comes out, when the doe gives birth, it sends us an alert. That way we can look at the doe's GPS points and determine where she is.
And they're a little bit easier to find because they have that device, right?
I mean, it's easier for you to get into the general area.
Okay.
You're not guessing, kind of like you are with these ones we glass up. But, I mean, if you're in sagebrush, those things can hide in sagebrush like you wouldn't believe. So it can take upwards, we won't stay in the general area longer than like about an hour, but it can take an hour once you get within 100 or so yards of that GPS point to find them.
Gosh, that's crazy.
Yeah, that's one way we collar them. And then this other way is by glassing them up and running up the hillside to catch
like
them
we just did.
But the main difference is the ones we're able to catch off vits, we have a lot of maternal data. We have her GPS data, we've taken body measurements, we have a sample of her blood. Some of these does we've been tracking for a few years, so we have a pretty good idea of some body metrics.
Okay.
And it just allows us to do a little bit more statistical analysis, learn a little bit more about why or why not the fawns are surviving versus these ones that we just collared.
Just for survival only, right?
Survival only, basically.
Survival statistics.
Because we have the few metrics we just took, like that chest girth, birth weight. And birth weight can tell us quite a bit, but it's just not as much data as the vitted fawns. But I would say we'll probably catch something like 10 to 12 opportunistics, and then that would leave us catching 38 to 40 vitted or fawns from vits. So
okay.
We'll have a lot of maternal data.
So it's nice to kind of have a little bit of variety of the both.
And the other thing the opportunistics give us is an ability to go some places where we can't catch the fawns with a helicopter.
Okay.
Like here, for example, just hard with the way the winds are in the canyon and just the rockiness and the steepness and how high in elevation it is. Some of those things are hard for the helicopter. And so we don't really catch a lot here in this canyon compared to some other locations on the cache. And so catching opportunistics allows us to kind of fill in spaces where we otherwise wouldn't have fawns.
That's cool. So, and it's just, yeah, variety of area.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
Gosh, that's cool. I didn't realize how lucky we got till we had this talk.
I know. I mean, I was like thinking, well, it's funny because some people come out to help and they just like expect that every time we come out we find fawns, which is not true, and I hate to dish out that reality to people, but yeah, you definitely got lucky here on your first time, that's for sure.
That's cool. This was my first time. Beginner's luck. How do you feel, Eagle Eyes?
Good.
That was a good spot.
It was luck.
That was so cool.
Right place, right time.
So inherently, with trying to study these fawns and learn more about their survival and what we can do to help them survive better, we introduce some risk to them by handling them, by bumping their moms off. But to try and offset some of those risks, we do things like wear gloves, limit the amount of time we spend searching for fawns, anything we can really to protect them from possible abandonment. We haven't in the past had really any signs of abandonment from fawns that we've handled, and on this study alone we've handled 52, but there's been another study on the Monroe where they handled something like 150 fawns. But we still urge people not to pick them up because it still does cause a lot of stress and can potentially cause the mom to leave. So best just to leave it to the professionals, the DWR, and those studying the fawns to take care of them and take the precautions necessary to keep them safe. Okay, if you do happen to find a fawn on the side of the road or just when you're out hiking during this month of June and you don't see the mom, the doe near it, that doesn't mean she's left it or abandoned it, and it does not mean that you need to pick it up. Those does will go anywhere from 100 feet to 100, 150 yards away from the fawn to feed. So if you see one, just give it a wide berth and leave it there. She'll be back within an hour or two to gather it up and take it on to wherever they're gonna bed down.
All right, well, I just wrapped up my first ever fawn capture, and man, that was cool. And apparently I got really lucky to actually capture the fawns, get a collar on them, get to do the measurements. Got pretty darn lucky. Like Sydney said, this was an opportunistic fawn capture, meaning we just had to glass them up, and then we had to go in and try to get on them and capture them. These were also older fawns, meaning like 3 days, so they had their legs under them, they could run if they wanted to, but luckily they behaved. So gosh, it's so cool. They are the cutest little buggers in the world. So anyway, I feel blessed to have been able to help on this and just be a part of conservation and capturing data that's going to help our deer for the future to come. So dang cool. Glad I was able to be a part of it. Going back to what I mentioned earlier, a lot of people view hunters as just ruthless killers, heartless, and it really is just not true. We are conservationists. We care. We love our wildlife. We want our children to be able to enjoy our wildlife, and we want our grandchildren, and we want future family to come to be able to enjoy our wildlife and habitat and our public lands. So anyway, we are conservationists. We're the ones that paid for this study. Us as hunters, we paid for this, and it's just cool to see it all come together and actually see where our money is being put to use. So pretty dang cool, and I'm excited to see what kind of data that they get from these two beautiful little girl fawns. One other thing I wanted to mention is that there's a lot of great people out there that care for our wildlife. I mean, these biologists, you know, it's not a lucrative position. They don't do it for money. You know, they don't take this job and do this job because they want a whole bunch of money. That's just not how it works. These biologists do what they do because they absolutely love the wildlife and the habitat and, you know, just God's beautiful country. You know, we've been put in charge to take care of this land that we've been blessed with, and you know, not only do we have the responsibility to do it, but you know, I know all these biologists out here work extremely hard, and you know, they love this land, they love our wildlife, and I don't think that they get enough credit all the time, because once again, they work really hard, and they do it because they love it. So that's just one thing I noticed from, you know, doing this study and knowing a couple biologists. And you know, my cousin Clint, who I have the, you know, privilege to do a lot of things with, he has that same mentality. You know, he just loves wildlife, and he loves the habitat, and it's his job to protect it. So just another thing I've observed. And once again, just what a cool opportunity to come and do this fawn collaring. It's so cool.